Done is better than perfect, but consistent is better than done, and consistent is better than perfect. The only way you're going to find your voice is by exercising your voice, because we cannot get good at something that we do not do. We can't get good at golf by watching YouTube videos 8 hours a day on how to get good at golf. We can't get faster at running unless we get out of our chair and get our shoes on and go run. And after my hearing loss, I call those my intention years, where I got very intentional with what I taught, how I operated, how I presented myself. And by 2018, I had my first six-figure launch selling an online course that I had no intention of ever releasing. It was just my YouTube audience was asking, hey, how can I work with you? Do you do consultations? Do you have a course? Do you have an ebook? I'm like, no, but I can make one.
Why do you think that people, like, nobody teaches us how to operate with money and this type of things?
Because nobody that's running the institutions have money. They've never built anything. They have been a cog that worked their way all the way up. I think that the school system can be very powerful. I think that some schooling systems are incredibly freeing for the way that they teach our next generation and our children. But I think the institutionalization of the public school system in a lot of ways is very parallel to the prison system, where it's be here at this time, only interact with these people, don't speak out of turn, don't ask questions, don't be silly, don't be goofy, don't inject your personality into anything. You have to memorize these things to let us know that you memorize these things, and then we're off to the next thing that you memorize.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Brainwashed To Be Broke series. Today's guest is someone who cracked the code on turning YouTube videos and views into serious revenue. He is the founder of Apex Creator and a YouTube growth strategist who's helped entrepreneurs generate over 3.5 million in organic sales using his signature frameworks. With 310,000 plus subscribers and proven system like the binge method and attention infinite loop, he's helped thought leaders across industries grow their authority, build trust, and close high-ticket offers through content. Fired up to have him here. Welcome to the show, Adam Ivy.
I appreciate the opportunity, man. It's always good when two atoms can get into the same room together.
Thank you so much for being here. It's just my pleasure to have you here. I'm super excited for this conversation. It's going to be super fun. I've prepared a bunch of questions for you, but before we jump into those questions, I would love to know, and probably all the listeners would love to know, where you're coming from and how did you get into entrepreneurship, and how it all started for you.
Absolutely. So I grew up in central Wisconsin, which is a state known for its dairy farming and industrial factories and whatnot. And my parents had a lot of love in the house, but just not a whole lot of money. And so as a kid, I started hustling any way that I could. I was selling granola bars at school. I got a paper route when I was 12 years old and did that for 3 years, only missing 4 days. So I, have always had a work ethic thanks to my parents and my grandparents. Like we were talking about before we started recording, my grandparents were first generation Americans who came from a farming and very rough background and worked their tails off to try to provide for their families. And I was on the same path. After high school, I started working as a woodworker in a union, building wood windows and doors in a big factory with over 2,000 employees. I did that for 4 years and realized this is not the life I want to live long term. So around that time, I had discovered music production. I wanted to be a music producer and, move to LA or a big city, Miami, whatever, to live that dream. And the next year moved to Florida. This is back in 2007 with everything I could fit in my car. I had $3,400 to my name because I sold a motorcycle that I had for a while and tried to figure out how to be a full-time music producer, which did lead to 8 years of full-time income from music. And while also doing other things, because, as an entrepreneur, you're not interested in just one thing all the time. So I fell into corporate marketing and shot commercials and did voiceovers and a bunch of video work and graphic design and everything that I could while doing music. And that led me to 2016. I went legally deaf in my left ear and could not produce music anymore. So I started teaching everything I knew on YouTube. And before that, between 2010 and 2017, I call it my attention years, where all I wanted was to get attention from people. So I would do vlogs and funny videos and product reviews and anything I could think of to try to get views. And after my hearing loss, I call those my intention years, where I got very intentional with what I taught, how I operated, how I presented myself. And by 2018, I had my first six-figure launch selling an online course that I had no intention of ever releasing. It was just my YouTube audience was asking, "Hey, how can I work with you? Do you do consultations? Do you have a course? Do you have an ebook?" I'm like, "No, but I can make one." So that led to 12 consecutive six-figure launches completely organically, selling an online course, as well as more than $1 million in high ticket sales, what I like to call premium offers for musicians looking to scale their careers. Now, I just turned 40 a few weeks ago. And in the last few years, I've just felt disconnected. The industry's changing in a way that I don't like. I'm getting older, but my students still all stay the same age, it seems like. And over the last couple of years, I've been helping my entrepreneur friends scale their businesses using YouTube, using the same exact thing that I did. And it hit me like a load of bricks one day. I said, why am I not offering this to people to help change their lives and transform their entire existence, right? So I launched Attention at Scale, which is my corporate entity, and my program's called Apex Creator, as you graciously introduced me with. And what we do is I look for the most aggressive, most competitive, most high standard entrepreneurs that are making 6 to 8 figures. And we put the systems in place that I use that have worked with countless other, maybe not countless, but other entrepreneurs that I've worked with. And, we're changing lives and impacting a lot of people along the way. And I'll say I feel more aligned with what I'm doing now than I have in years. And with a 2-year old at home, a beautiful wife who's 35 weeks pregnant as the date of recording this, we're growing our family, and I want my impact and my legacy to reflect that in who I've become more than who I was with the identity of a musician and a music mentor. And so the future is bright. I am so excited and fulfilled in what we're doing. And I'm happy to be here. I know that was a condensed version, but that took you from 21 years old, actually before that, all the way up to 40. So we've jumped about 20 years in that last few minutes.
Amazing journey. It's just amazing how it all fits together, and how did you went from, woodworking basically to building like a huge successful business on, YouTube, and helping others doing you know um changing lives. That's just incredible. But before, this all success, how it all like started for you when you, being kid and working, probably like being in the environment of hardworking people. Um, how the path actually looked like for you when, like, when they raised you. Did you have, like, the opportunity to choose what you like to do, and they, or it was mainly like, this is the path that you're supposed to go and you have to follow that?
Yeah, so I did very poorly in school, especially as I was becoming a teenager, because, like I mentioned, I started a paper route when I was 12 years old. And so, in my mind, my parents never had any money. My mom was always working 2 or 3 jobs. My dad was a stay-at-home dad because he broke his back when I was a newborn. And so he was on disability here in the States, is when the government sends you a little bit of money to try to help you survive. And my dad would do the chores around the house, like laundry and doing the dishes and cooking and lawn care and the things around our house. And, uh, a lot of times make sure that my brothers and I were ready for school and be home when we got home from school. So there was a long pocket of time that my dad was around. And when I was 13 or 14 years old, my parents started fighting more and inevitably got divorced when I was 15 and a half or something. I say that because I always saw my mom working. My mom was always gone, not all the time, but most of the time. And my grandmother, who I was so close with, my grandfather, who I was so close with, they were about the hardest working people that you've ever met in your life. And my grandmother was in her 60s and 70s and doing piano lessons and working for 5 different churches in our area as the organist. And she was just always moving, always doing something, right? My grandfather was a retired farmer. And before that, he worked in the steel foundry. And then before that, he was on the railroad. So he had a very, very hard life of hard work. So these things were instilled in me. And I was always never, as a kid growing up in the 80s and 90s, we were outside, we were on our bikes, we were playing sports, there was no phones or internet or anything until much later.
it was pretty
I
much
what
similar to my childhood also. I've been like always
Yeah,
outside playing football all the time,
all the time.
doing total crap. And anyway, like having fun, like, just the boys doing like whatever it come up to us, basically. Yeah, so much fun.
It's the best. It's the best.
Yeah.
And growing up in that environment, I saw the struggles that my parents went through. As far as sometimes, all the time, I we were going to secondhand stores for our clothes, or just buying the bare minimum at the store that we could eat. And most of the time, it was potatoes and rice and pasta and things that were very filling, but not necessarily very healthy for you. And my parents did a great job doing their best. And I knew at 12 years old, if I can make money by doing this paper route and delivering newspapers to these houses, and then the next neighborhood over, there would be a kid who was a little older than me and he didn't want to do it anymore. So I would start doing his route. And before you knew it, I had 4 or 5 routes all patched together, and I was making $385 a month, obviously USD, as a 13 and 14-year-old. It
Wow.
was
Yeah,
my
tell,
my
tell
viewpoint
yeah,
went the money.
tell me about that because this is interesting.
Yeah.
This is not usual. Like thinking like
No.
in that
Hmm.
age, thinking about, money and making like, having some type of income and so on, like
Yeah.
using that or, using the creativity to actually make money. This is super interesting because,
Yes.
yeah.
No, I agree. All of my friends thought I was crazy. In fact, one of my friends, my parents on rare occasion would do like a few days at a cabin that they pooled their money together and rented for 3 or 4 days, just like an hour or two north from where we lived. And in all actuality, it was probably $200 or $300 back then for the week. So it was a big deal for us, though. And I stopped going with my family because the one time I tried to go, my friend who said he was going to do my paper route for me only delivered to about 20 houses and then threw the rest of the papers away and said, I'm good. I'm done for the day. It's so, my dad back then, you'd be able to call a number and listen to your own messages on your answering machine, and you would call your number and then hit a code and then it would go to your answering machine. And my dad was like, I don't know what Nate did, but there's a lot of people mad that they didn't get their newspaper. And so I freaked out as like a 12 or 13-year-old kid. They dropped me back off at home. They drove all the way back down to take me home. And then I bring all of that up because I was bullied and made fun of and beat up because I was the poor kid that had the oversized or too tight clothes, couldn't afford a good haircut. And when I saw a path to make my own money, I said, you know what? I don't have to depend on my parents anymore. I'll make the money and I can buy clothes and I can buy music on CD or cassette tape. I can do these things. And that's when it's not necessarily the right way, but it was my reality of every day that I work this paper out and I deliver these papers either before school or right after school. On the weekends, it was the early morning, and during the week, it was right after school. I had to get home because I only had like an hour and a half to get all the papers delivered by a certain time. And I got a check once a month, and I was like, I'm set. I can do what I need to, and that really impacted my schoolwork because I would get high grades in tests because I had a good memory, but I wouldn't do any of the homework usually unless I could do it at school. It didn't get done, and so I barely graduated high school and was told by my guidance counselor, you should go get a factory job. It's the easiest way to make a decent living. There's plenty of people that make 40 or $50,000 and you'll be set. You could take care of a family and buy a little house. And that's what I did because I didn't have any other options. In fact, my guidance counselor, I said that I wanted to become an architectural engineer because I was really good at drawing and math. And she goes, Adam, you have a really bad GPA. Um, and so when I fast forward, I had a Lamborghini
Dude, I
and this
don't.
was my license plate.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, that was
Dude,
uh
you won't
that
believe.
was years ago. Yeah,
You
man.
won't believe. But I'm telling you, I had very, very similar young age as you. Like, I'm telling you, if you would live my, childhood, I think you would have completely the same experience as like what you are sharing. I've been like since 13, I've been delivering newspapers. Um, I've been like in the school, people thought that I'm totally crazy. Like, no, like, yeah, it was, I've been bullied a lot at
Mm,
that time. I had to change schools because of that.
yeah.
And literally, the last piece that you said that what was the last thing that you mentioned before? Yeah, anyway, but
I
basically,
did, yeah, I
yeah,
did very poorly in school and was
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
set up to live a very standard,
yeah,
in my opinion, mediocre life
yeah,
that didn't celebrate my potential or my creativity. It more so boxed me in by the rules that other people were living.
yeah, totally. Yeah. I can
Very
see
cool.
myself in your journey like massively. That's
I love
crazy.
it.
I never I never experienced that. Anyway, yeah, that's super awesome. Uh so when actually you figured out that the journey of being employee is not the way that you want to live. Like, was there a reason because of your like you've been thinking about your future or of your family or something that, or was there something different that actually some type of event that happened that actually made it made to decide you that you're gonna go that path?
Yeah, so I don't think there's anything wrong with working a job or having a career for a different company, somebody that employs you, whether you are the number two in the company all the way down to the admin, mailroom kind of entry level stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it builds character, and I also think that overall it allows you to realize what you like and what you don't like because there's going to be things that you enjoy. There's going to be things, maybe it's a great company culture, maybe it's an awful company culture, maybe it's some benefits of some sort or some, things like having these days off or building this to get, because as an entrepreneur, when you are building your business and you're hiring people, you also want to instill the things that you learned into your own organization and be able to say, you know what, I really enjoyed this from this job that I worked for a few years. I think I'm going to incorporate or adopt something in my business that's similar because I think that the people that help me move my business and my movement forward would appreciate that. And I think people enjoy being seen and acknowledged for their hard work and their dedication. Their loyalty should always be rewarded. But at the same time, I never wanted to be told that I can't go to Switzerland or Austria or Hawaii for a month if I wanted to.
Hmm.
So I could live and experience and do what I want to do. I don't love the idea of working when I'm not feeling like I'm in the right mental state to do it. Now I'm not saying that I just work when I'm in the right mental state, but when you adopt or adapt to your frequency, then you could say, you know what, I might not be a morning person or I might not be a night owl. And I work the best in between this pocket of time. And then I could take a walk or run around my neighborhood or maybe go to the gym or take a break or take a nap. And then I can come back to it. I know that there are companies, there's organizations out there that have very generous schedules like that. And if that works for you, cool. I know a lot of other people enjoy the stringent working 8 to 4, 9 to 5, 7 to 3. And I did that for a lot of years too. I was the marketing director for a tech company for close to a decade. And I would go to the office at 6 or 7 a.m. and I would be done around 3 o'clock. I'd come home and take my time and I would miss the traffic rush. And it was just, it wasn't bad, but I knew that there was more to life than that. And I wanted to make my own rules and be able to impact the world in the way that I see God set me up to do that. And the only way to get that is by building something yourself to where you are the number one. Sometimes the founder isn't the CEO long term, so maybe I'll be the number two sometime. But in the way I see life, there's so much to be experienced that I can't do it with 2 days off a week. I can't do it in 2 weeks a year like a lot of places offer. And that's why with all of my employees over the years, I've been very generous with, hey, if you want to go on vacation, you want to take your laptop, I won't count it as vacation. You just get your work done every day and do your thing for a week or two. And, just be very understanding and supportive of people trying to live an elevated lifestyle or an elevated experience as well. So there's no right or wrong. I just don't like the boxed in constructs of living for someone else's dreams,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah. You are working anyway super hard, like even though if you are in a normal job or if you are working for you basically and creating your own dream, why I should actually like use my time to like I'm not telling that that's like wrong thing to do, but I would rather to work on my dreams than working for somebody else's dreams, right? So
Absolutely.
that was for me also like a huge thing that I've been like deciding. And of course there was more for it, yeah, the freedom, the future for my future family, and being able to do and support them and be present for them, right? So that was like the big thing for me. I don't know if you had this type of desire also in you. Probably, I would say, for sure, right?
Oh,
um
100%.
yeah. So but what was your thoughts when you realized that the system that you've been taught from the young age was actually like designed to keep you, you know, uninformed, stuck, easy to control, right? How
Oh,
did,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of realized that my interests were always outlier things, right? People wouldn't understand it. I was really into music and I was into art and I was into sports and I played American football and baseball and ran track and field and was in martial arts for 12 years. So I was always physical. I always enjoyed that, but I never saw a clear path to make a living out of it. I'm 5'8". I'm not a big guy. So playing American football, I knew that there was probably no chance that a kid in my situation was going to do anything more than just have some fun in high school playing against other high school kids. And when I realized the dream of music, I started seeing a path. I was like, you know what? I can build a name for myself. I can build I tell everybody I'm a builder more than anything. I like to build creative projects. I like to build businesses. I like to build people up. I like to build, giant ideas and then turn them into reality. And in doing so, there's no playbook. There's nothing to follow. So you're constantly trial and error. You're constantly failing. You have your super highs and your super lows. And you just like, I'm an eternal optimist and I'm a resourceful person. I've not had the resources my whole life, but I've been resourceful, which I think is super important. And in what we do as a builder, as an entrepreneur, it's all based on our environment and what we want for our lives, right? So I have a little daughter who's 2. I have a son that's on the way that's going to be here in the next few weeks, and my beautiful wife. And I want to provide I want to provide a life for them that I don't see a way to do that working for somebody else. I know kind of what I peak out at in the corporate world, maybe 150 to $200,000 a year, which is a good income, but those C-level positions are usually very demanding. You're on the clock all the time. You have to do a lot of travel usually. And I don't want to live on somebody else's rules, right? I mean, all in all, there's rules that we have to abide by and we have to understand where we can push the limits a little bit. But I want the freedom and fulfillment to be able to be around my kids more. I want the freedom and fulfillment to be able to make sure that my wife feels seen and loved and appreciated and supported the way that my mom and my dad didn't have. And so I've had tremendous successes. I've had tremendous failures, and that's the game of entrepreneurship. So I discovered this life by seeing what the world had to offer, seeing what my life had to offer, getting on YouTube, making music, sending it out and getting great feedback or awful feedback that just destroyed my ego and anything that I was at the time. And through the years, going through the ups and downs of being homeless at 17, going through multiple years of just being super, super broke and kind of living hand to mouth. Um, and that builds character and that builds resilience and that builds grit. And those are 3 things that you need as a successful entrepreneur, because otherwise, any type of affliction, any type of obstacle can easily derail you if you're not used to that type of pressure and that type of environment.
What would you say about the schooling system that is designed for like for us to box
Sure.
like to put us into those boxes or shape us into those boxes? Why do you think that people, or like we are not nobody teaches us how to operate with money and
Mhm.
this type of things?
Because nobody that's running the institutions have money. They've never built anything. They have been a cog that worked their way all the way up.
Mhm.
I think that the school system can be very powerful. I think that some schooling systems are incredibly freeing for the way that they teach our next generation and our children. But I think the institutionalization of the public school system in a lot of ways is very parallel to the prison system, where it's be here at this time, only interact with these people, don't speak out of turn, Don't ask questions. Don't be silly. Don't be goofy. Don't inject your personality into anything. You have to memorize these things to let us know that you memorize these things. And then we're off to the next thing that you memorize. We are so programmed to not be cool enough to speak to the kids that are a year older than us, and we're too cool to speak to the kids that are a year younger than us. That leaves us speaking to a bunch of kids that are at the same intelligence, the same social level, the same, system, where we're not actually growing. We're just all remembering the same thing, and kind of hopefully our environment at home is safe and nurturing, and gives us the ability to be ourselves. But for a lot of these teachers who are underpaid, they're undereducated. They learn how to get into a position. And I love my teachers out there. I have teachers in my family, but they're not given the resources to be the leaders that they need to be. Instead, they're a cog in the system that is told what to teach, when to teach it, what to teach our children, not only academically, but socially. And nobody in that system has ever come from, I don't want to say nobody, I'm not talking in absolutes here, but very few people in that system come from a outlier situation where they're a free thinker. They're allowed to ask questions because for them, it's the same thing. You become a teacher, the next person up in the circle of life, the pie chart there, not pie chart, but the hierarchy, the organization chart, they ask questions and they don't want to step on toes because that person was in their position 10 years ago. And, you don't question the system. And so it's more maintenance rather than growth. It's more of a cleaning system than a gardening system, right? So I think that is where the issue lies, is nobody could teach me about money who's never had money. No one can teach me about building something that's never built anything. No one can teach me about being myself and embracing those gifts and being able to utilize those gifts and leverage those gifts if they themselves have never done that. So that's why I think the arts are important. Physical fitness and those programs are important. Language, history, mathematics, all that stuff is important, but it needs to be taught in a different way if we want the next generation to be better than we are.
Right. Yeah. And especially we are sold that dream that, like security or whatever they are.
Yeah, it's all an illusion.
Right. And,
Yeah.
especially now we probably a lot of people felt it during the COVID, right? That was the first
Yeah,
thing.
definitely.
Then now, when actually like AI starts showing up more and more frequently,
Yeah.
like people are going to lose jobs, but in huge, I would say, in huge, like in certain, it's not going to be in every area, but for sure there's going to be like jobs that's going to be completely like vanishing.
Well, I mean, that's always happened though, if
Yeah,
you think
well,
about it,
yeah.
right? At one point, there were probably hundreds or thousands of people that were, farmers,
Mhm.
or they were some sort of, I don't know the word for it, equestrian maintenance person when people had horses.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of people did it themselves, but there might have been the doctor, the veterinarian, the person that would come and reshoe the horses. And then when the automotive industry came into effect in the Model T and the different, Henry Ford came out with the first, I guess, grossly industrial, movement in that space. The people that were buying horses now were in cars, and the people that had cars, now it was more affordable. And someone went from being a farmer to working on a production line to build automotive, or let's face it, during the world wars, a lot of industry was happening with big factories, whether it be for war or for, just manufacturing in general. And over the years, I came from that family. My grandfather had a dairy farm. My uncles and aunts, a lot of them had dairy farms and, the industrial area, and some aspect of super farming or capitalism
Yeah.
kind of made it very, very hard for them to survive. But I think that in what you're saying, AI is going to come through. And that's why it's more important than ever before to be a human and have a personality and build a network and have, I don't even say you have to have a business, but kids are going to go from our generation manufacturing and working with our hands and having a tool in our hand, and to being managers of automated processes, right? There's going to be one kid in a room managing 60 robots putting things together or processing. So it's going to be a management perspective, because there still needs to be a human eye, because there's going to be error on both sides. But AI is going to, and it already has, replaced thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs. However, There are always people looking to hire. I mean, there's things that AI will not be able to replace, at least not now.
Not now. Yeah.
And at some point, I think it's even happening now. Guys like you and I are craving real human connection because ChatGPT or Claude or fill in the blank Grok, like they can give us answers, but the textbooks in school also gave us answers,
Mhm.
but they still needed human interaction to help guide. Because there are out there, I want to be very clear on this. There are fantastic human beings that are fulfilled, and their purpose in life is to help other human beings, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a caregiver, whether it's a doctor, whether it's anything, police officers. So those people will still be in high demand, but the people that just went through the motions, they will be a dime a dozen, and they will be forced to make a decision on what they want out of their lives.
Yeah. When, like, how do you actually adapt when you like jump into entrepreneurship and you had to start figuring out how actually money works and everything
Yeah.
about that topic? What was your process of studying money and, figuring out how to actually work with money and being able to, start thinking about the financial, independent or freedom that we are all seeking for, right?
Yeah. So I'd say this. I have fumbled my finances several times along the way. You make a little bit of money, you spend a lot of bit of money. You make a little bit more money in the corporate world. Now you have lifestyle creep and you buy a nicer car and you get a better place and you buy a nicer watch and you get a better TV. And I've learned and been very humbled in the past, 10 years that just because the money comes fast doesn't mean it's going to stick around. Just because you make an investment doesn't mean it's going to work. And so over the years, my mentors time and time again have said, Adam, money is a tool, whether you have a little bit or a lot of it. So money is a tool. You need to try to find stability. And so I have been a student of the game, and I in no way, shape, or form am a master at this because I think it's a constant learning cycle where you need to understand how to divide the income, and whether it's some of it goes for taxes and legal, not legal fees, but organizational fees throughout the year, taxes and structural things, whether it's operations, whether it's you're an employer, so you may want to make sure that everybody is paid and you have money in the account so that there's never a moment where somebody's like, hey, how do I, where's my paycheck? All the way to making sure that your household is run in a way that's living within your means, but still figuring out how to elevate that. So the best way to learn about money is to have money and lose all your money and pay attention to what happened and not do that again. But on the other side of it, once you start making a little bit of money, then one of the best investments is hiring a really good CPA or a bookkeeper that wants you to win as well and will explain why and how to do things. There's great books out there like Profit First, but it gets confusing for someone once you're making a little bit of money and you have all these different accounts that you're trying to separate money into. I think that one of the first hires once you're making anything over, I'd say $50,000 a year, is just find somebody who understands money and that's their passion, and get educated on what to do, what not to do. And always remember, just because you made $100,000 doesn't mean that money's yours. At best, maybe 40 or 50,000 of it is yours. To do with what you want. The other needs to go to taxes and all that stuff. At least here in America, But yeah, I am not a wizard when it comes to that side of things. But maybe eventually I will become one.
Totally. Yeah. So I have a question about how did you come to music production actually?
Sure. Yeah. So when I was working at the wood window factory, I had a very, very good friend of mine named Jim, who was kind of like an older brother to me. I met him when I was 12. We were both in martial arts together, and he's probably 8 years or so older than me. And so when I was a teenager, he was in his early 20s and he bought a house, and he was smart with his investment because he would rent out all of his rooms. I think it was a 4-bedroom house. He would rent out the 3 other rooms for people that were his friends or people he worked with, and would apply that money towards his lifestyle or his mortgage or his payments. And I went to go visit Jim one day when I was working at the wood window factory, and his new roommate, Zach, he introduced me to this guy. And he had just heated up something to eat for lunch. And he said, "Hey, it's really great to meet you, but I'm working on a project. If you want to come down, we can hang out in my room and, I need to eat this food and keep working." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So this individual was a music producer and a DJ. And when I saw his little setup at the time, it looked like a spaceship. And I was just like, I want to do this. Now, my grandmother was a pianist and and an organist. And my father, as a hobby, was a DJ. My
Mm,
mom, before high school, was a very, very good violinist. And I was always around music growing up. And
mm,
so I saw this and I'm like, I want to know how to do that. So I sold everything I had. I had a little bit of money in the bank from working I was working 60 to 80 hours a week in the wood window factory. And I bought a little setup, a laptop, a little keyboard, some headphones, and I started producing music. And shortly after that, Jim had one of his roommates move out. And my little apartment that I had, it was time for me to make a decision on whether or not I wanted to stay or move out. And I decided to move out and move in with Jim. And now I was right down the hallway from the Zach guy. And I was probably a super annoying, little brother figure to him. I'm like, "Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about that?" And so I started making music and just fell in love with it as a creative outlet and as a hobby, and made the decision less than a year later to really pursue a career in it. And Zach had went to college for music production in Florida, where I live now. And he said, "Man, you should move to Orlando, Florida. I think that you would have a lot of opportunity." I had never been to Florida. My parents couldn't afford a vacation, aside from those few times up on the lake. And I packed up everything I had. 90 days later, I moved down and just figured it out. I slept on an air mattress for 10 months and was very, 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 very broke. But, I figured it out. And luckily, Zach and I became very close friends. He's like a brother to me now. He moved down to Florida about 6 to 8 months after I did, and we were roommates. So that helped with the bills a little bit.
mm,
But I love creating. Before my hearing loss in 2016, I would sit and I would do the corporate day job, and I would come home and I would make music until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I would sleep a couple hours and then go back to the corporate day job. And um, I still love making music. I mean, I still have a studio that's designed to do that as a hobby these days, but uh, it was just the fact that I could take these emotions, these thoughts, these feelings, and turn it into something that I could share with other people in a way that felt meaningful at the time.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's super interesting actually. So you still playing music, but not. Have you ever actually been like professional, like doing it professionally, or have you been just like
Yeah.
okay?
So I did music. I had a full-time income from music for 8 years. I've worked with major artists like G-Eazy and Mod Sun and
Wow.
E40 and Kevin Gates and Bobby Valentino. And those of you who are into old 90s and early 2000s hip hop, I worked with the Diplomats, Dipset, with J.R. Ryder and a few of those guys. I've produced music for Subway commercials and Burger King commercials and the theme songs for professional sports
Uh-huh.
teams and music on some reality shows over the years. So and I worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of musicians from around the world who were chasing their dreams. And it might not, just like me, some of them land, some of them don't work. So, I have produced thousands of songs over the years and have had some success. And it just, over the years, especially with my hearing loss, I just realized this was a really fun chapter of my life and I learned a lot from it. You learn a lot about rejection. You learn a lot about collaboration and
Mm.
navigating relationships in the industry, but
That's really important actually in a business actually.
100%.
Yeah, because this is
So,
that's really
yeah,
interesting that actually that I would say even like help you in that business area also, like because you've been having some experience with that and so on. So that's really interesting actually. And how it actually happened that you have the hearing loss? What happened actually
yeah.
to you?
In 2016, I had a sinus infection that led to um, it was a bad sinus infection that eventually turned into a ear infection
Mm,
that ruptured my eardrum and calcified my eustachian tube. And I've had surgeries on my ears that just nothing really helped. I have a couple other doctors now that are saying that they think that they know how to help me in regain some of that hearing, which I'm very excited about. I
mhm.
never lose hope, but at the same time, it's a reality. So I have an earbud in right now so I could hear you. And this ear feels like there's a earplug in it. Like I can hear muffled noise. I
Mhm.
can hear muffled noise and I'll get tinnitus once in a while, either whooshing tinnitus, which is like a
Wow.
or the super, super squealy high pitched tinnitus, which is super annoying.
Mhm.
But overall, if you're next to me, I can hear that you're talking and I can make out some of it.
Mhm.
But if you and I were talking, I would be turned towards you so I could hear,
Mhm.
otherwise I do have a hearing aid that I wear on rare occasion, but it doesn't do a whole lot.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
where from there, how did you came up with YouTube? Like, how did you get into
Yeah.
that you actually going to do something on YouTube? Have you been actually using YouTube for your songs before, or like, you know? Yeah.
Yes, I've used YouTube for everything before I kind of figured it out. So I started on YouTube in 2010. A little bit before that, actually, my current channel is from 2010. I had a couple videos before that. Long story, back in the day, YouTube would not allow you to change your URL. So
Mhm.
once you set your username, you could never change it.
Mhm.
So my URL back then was like Adam Ivy official TV, whatever. It was like too long. It's so 5 or 6 videos in, I was like, I need to start a new channel because and now it's just Adam Ivy. But um, or my big channel is just Adam Ivy. I do have a brand new channel that I'm building, but I started making what I call beat making videos, where I was making the music and showing people my production process. And then the 7th video I ever uploaded to that channel was a music parody that went viral and changed my life in a lot of ways, good and bad.
Mhm.
And then I got addicted to trying to chase the views because magically I had a video that had millions of views
Yeah.
and I wanted to keep that going. And unfortunately, in that space, I had others that hit a million or several hundred thousand or tens of thousands, but it never really felt like myself. I felt like I was almost a character of myself, excuse
Mhm.
me. And YouTube is just a way for me to try to find where I belong. I say
Mhm.
all the time that
Very
I
interesting.
got on YouTube to have my voice heard. I wanted to matter. I wanted to be seen. And it
Mhm.
wasn't until years later that I realized I needed YouTube to find my voice in the first place.
Mhm.
So, in 2016, I got very intentional moving into 2017, and my channel took 8 years to hit 50,000 subscribers, 7 or 8 years. And from there, it took less than 18 months to surpass 200,000 subscribers when I got intentional. And now it's at 314,000, I think, and over 21 million views organically. So, once you figure things out and do it with intention, put a process behind it. And all I did was I said, I'm doing very well in this corporate position, helping this company grow over here. If I just implemented systems
Mhm.
and look at my own channel like a day job,
Mhm.
which I know a lot of people watching this are like, ugh, but there's some structure behind it, right?
Yeah.
If you're building a business, you need traffic, you need offers, you need relationship building, you need everything in between. Same with the YouTube channel, right? You need consistency, you need a dialed in message, you need to know your audience, you need to, all that stuff
Mhm.
matters. You need to understand conversions. I call it the 5 C's. It's the clarity, the client or customer, the content, the conversions, and then the confidence that you build from doing all 5 or doing all those 4 things. So YouTube has changed my life in so many ways, from my confidence
Mhm.
to speaking on camera to speaking in front.
Mhm.
Last week I spoke to a room of about 200 entrepreneurs and got up on stage, and I felt like I was just doing what I was meant to do, living in my moment. And that comes from doing this on YouTube for a long, long time. And so the opportunities to work with big brands, the opportunities to collaborate with people who went from somebody you idolized to a peer. All these things have happened thanks to YouTube, and it's provided for my family and provided for hundreds of thousands of people around the world who over the years have consumed my content.
Mhm.
So I love YouTube. That's why I hyper obsess and work with entrepreneurs to have the same type of effect in their lives.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like for me, for example, it's, the interview series, basically. Because
Absolutely.
like this helps me to become confident enough speaking in front of people, being in touch with people, building relationships, and all certain things. This is super, super interesting, actually. And not many people are actually like, there are lots of people like that crashing with podcasts and so on, and on YouTube
Absolutely.
channels and so on. But those are those that actually took like take that opportunity and start doing it. And I think when it comes to whole business, and we had a few really great conversation. When you're building a business, you need to have 3 things. You need to have a traffic, sales conversion process, and offer. Those three
Mhm.
things make successful business. And I would say, in my opinion, the best way to start is always with traffic. Because if you have traffic, you will figure out somehow how to sell.
Yes.
If you like, but if you don't have traffic, you have like you know how to sell, but you don't have anybody to sell to,
Yeah.
or and or even offer. Like I have offer, but you don't even know if they want it or not. You know what I mean? But this is really cool. So for those who's listening, what would you tell them, like how they would start with YouTube, and how they would get the traffic source solved the best and most effective way would you see work the best for you, for example?
Absolutely. So just going back to the 5 C's, having clarity on why you want to make videos, having clarity on who you're serving, having clarity on what is this going to do for my life. The next would be the content. What kind of content do I enjoy? What content do I want to make? Is it interviews? Is it talking head? Is it experiments and projects that you're doing? Is it tutorials? And then we go to the client. Who is the client that I'm going to serve? Who is my target avatar? Who is the person that I want to provide value to? Who is the person I want to fill a room or work with directly? And then it goes down to conversions, how I'm going to convert them. How am I going to make money off this? How am I going to turn this into a business? Is it online courses? Is it high ticket sales? Is it a low ticket? Is it books? Is it memberships? Is it JV partnerships, joint venture partnerships? Is it affiliate income? Is it sponsorships? Is it just money from YouTube, from the views, because it might be more entertaining? Where's the conversion piece to getting this traffic? And then that confidence, like I said, you have to do it. I say that your repetition builds your reputation.
Mhm.
And so the more you do something, good or bad, the more your reputation is going to be hinged on that. And so once you have that clarity and you say, these are my answers, this is my truth, you can go out and attack. Now, consistency probably should be the 6th C, but that's a whole different conversation. I say that somebody should do at least one video a week.
Mhm.
One good video a week is better than 3 half-assed videos a week.
Right.
And one intentional video that you feel good about. You should be able to, once you get into momentum, you should be able to record 2 to 4 videos in one sitting and edit it yourself, learn how to do it, or find an editor. There's a million pretty good editors out there. Tell them what you like, tell them what you dislike, tell them what channels you enjoy the content of so they can kind of understand what your style is. And then from there, do it for 5 years and you'll become a millionaire. That's the problem. The first 18 months is the hardest, and most people never make it to 18 months. You have to be okay with, I just said this in a presentation recently. Month 1 through 3, you're going to feel invisible. Month 4 through 8, you're going to start feeling the momentum pick up. Month 9 through 18, you're going to become recognizable. You're going to be the go-to for someone.
Yeah.
And by the 18th month of being consistent and dialing it in and getting better and holding yourself to a higher standard, you will be the obvious choice in your space. You will be the undeniable go-to in that space. But most people quit after 2 months. They'll spend all their time building a VSL, which is a virtual sales letter. They'll build a webinar. They'll build a challenge. They'll start writing a book. And they might have 150 people on a webinar that they revise over and over and over and over and over again. This is like the 30th time that I've revised this webinar. It's going to be perfect. It's going to crush. Meanwhile, they upload a video to YouTube that has 220 million active users a month or a day. And they just wing it. They're just like, oh, this is good enough. Who cares? You care so much when the people are face to face with you, but the people that you want to impact and the people that you want to move and the people that you want to become, the go-to trusted source, you're just like, it's okay. I'll figure it out. So YouTube needs to be a system that you take seriously, in my opinion, because YouTube is the only platform. If anybody's watching or listening to this right now, write this down. YouTube is the only platform that will serve you a decade after you create the content.
As an asset.
I have a channel. My old channel served music creators. It was a music marketing channel, essentially, at that point. I have a video called 1,000 Fans in 90 Days. I shot it in under 30 minutes in my little spare bedroom home studio that I had back then, 2019. That one video is still getting over 7,000 views a month with no paid ads. It's generated more than 10,000 high-ticket sales applications. It's generated more than 30,000 new subscribers to that channel, has made over $10,000 just in ad revenue itself, and has over 1 million views now completely organically. That one video is the reason for this 2 Comma Club award right here. This one's something else. This one's from one video. Oh, and it's what I've done, not what I'm doing, right? So it's like that video, and this is the crazy thing about it, Adam. That video's 6 years old now, and it still gets 7,000 views a month.
Yeah, it's like an asset, basically.
Right. I have a video that I did for a company 9 years ago that's still generating a couple thousand views a month and took the company from 5 million a year to up to 20 million a year in about 2 years. And it's completely unrelated. It's not talking head. It's a commercial capital equipment company, brick and mortar.
Right.
YouTube gives you the ability to serve your family for years and years. And as those assets compound, your sales calls become easier. I'll put it into perspective. When I launched my premium offer, originally it was $2,000. I was like, nobody in their right mind is going to pay me $2,000. Holy moly. No one for 3 months said no when I got on a sales call with them. There was obviously a vetting process. We wanted to make sure we were only working with the right people. So I bumped it to 3,000. For 3 more months, no one said no. And I say no, and there might have been one or two here and there, but almost everybody said yes. I bumped it to 5,000 because I couldn't work with that many people. I'm only one guy and I like to do the coaching directly. Bumped it to 5,000. And for 2.5 years, Adam, I had an 83 point something percent close rate on all my sales calls. When people would jump on calls, they'd say, oh my gosh, it's such an honor to get on a call with you. I've been watching your stuff on YouTube forever. This is super weird. Thank you for taking the time. They appreciated my time. They appreciated me. They already felt like they knew me. They trusted me. Now I have the obligation and the weight on my shoulders to make sure that I don't disappoint them. But I felt very, very good about that offer. And I shut that down over a year ago now. But now I'm working with entrepreneurs anywhere from $10,000 all the way up to $100,000 for working with me. But I had a client recently who has a $12,000 offer. Think about that. If they gave me $50,000 to work with them, they do all the work. They need what, 5 clients in the course of 12 months to be profitable? 5 clients.
I know, yeah.
Meanwhile, they're making, it just feels so good and so aligned with who I am and what I do that I know because of my own experience. I didn't build the YouTube channel telling people how to build YouTube channels. I built a real YouTube channel and a business around years of failure, figuring out how to dial in my message, figuring out who my message was most for. And now I'm building a channel from scratch, completely organic, to show people that it's repeatable, to show people that I can do it again and again, because I need to be able to walk the walk. I need to be able to do what I'm telling clients I can help them do. So, on the new channel, I only have 8 videos as of recording this. And one video is already up to about 6,000 views completely organically and has built my email list by over 300 people. So in under 90 days. So if you're out there and you're doubting yourself, if you're like, I'm not for YouTube, you don't have to be famous. You don't have to be charismatic. You don't have to go viral. You just have to be consistent and show up for the people that need you. Because I say it all the time, the time to serve is now. It's not 2 years when you feel like you're ready. You're never going to be ready.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyway.
So this is awesome because I see YouTube as completely different type of source of than normal social media, because YouTube is giving you the opportunity to actually like consistently grow and because this is the only platform that people can actually like watch you and search you also, right?
Yes.
If you're going to, because I have like really good friend, he's using also YouTube like crazy, and
Amazing.
we had a conversation because do you know, I'm probably you are familiar with the rule for 7-11, the Google rule or whatever. It's like
it's 4 different platforms, 7 hours, 11 times. Yeah.
Yes.
I believe that's
So
what it is.
say again.
I said I believe that's what it is. I might have
Yeah.
one thing mixed up, but yeah.
Yeah. So basically, this is one of the best platform to actually hit the 7 hours of watch time
Quickly.
where it's going to actually, this is huge.
Yeah.
And I saw even like Myron Golden, he's using, because I'm a student of them. So he's using YouTube like crazy, right? And but the thing is that he's using, I don't know exactly what style you use, but he's using like more of the, entertainment. He's entertainment person.
For sure.
So yeah. But anyway, this is super, super powerful. I love that. Can you like literally explain a little bit more like what is the best way to go with YouTube? Like, should we focus on entertaining content, or should we go and focus on, research-based content like keywords, like, like SEO, like SEO?
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you're trying to do, Adam. So
Mhm,
like I would say the three main types of content that take off on YouTube or any platform are education, entertainment, or inspiration, right?
mhm,
So Myron, who I just was hanging out with him last week, to be honest. Myron is very, very good at being inspiring and entertaining through his education. He is a bit of an outlier. He does two live long form. It could be an hour and a half or 2 hours, videos on YouTube a week. Now, for a lot of people, that might not work, but Myron has a following. He's building a following. Watching his content is almost like going to church because you leave
yeah.
on a high. You feel like you learned something. You feel motivated. And, shout out to Myron Golden, one of the best who's ever done it. With us, I like talking head videos. I like trying to add entertainment to the talking head videos every time I can. I like to have a message within that content that might be inspiring or get somebody to feel aspired to do something,
Mhm,
or I should say, show them an aspirational path that they might want to mimic or get on. Because at the end of the day, everything that you asked,
mhm.
Adam, should you do entertainment? Should you do education? Yes.
And
Do whatever you feel the most aligned with, but not everybody needs to be Mr. Beast.
yes.
Not everybody needs to be Myron Golden. So be the best version of yourself and understand all we're doing is we're fighting for the click. And once we have the click, you need to keep them retained. You need to keep them on your channel for as long as you can. So that means you have to value their time.
Mhm.
You have to edit for retention. That doesn't, make their brain melt with all these different cuts. And I mean, unless that's your thing, and you need to come with a message that does something for them and not just doing it to hear yourself talk. Cause I'm guilty of it. I think we all are. Sometimes you watch old content, you're like, oh, this is like super cringe and there's not really much of a message here. I was just rambling. And so that's what I would say. I would say do it for the right reasons, get that 5C locked in, like I said, and you have to be willing to run full speed in order to get faster. You can't crawl and doubt yourself over and over and over again and hold yourself back and be the guy who's uploading once every 3 months.
Mhm.
The people that are professional athletes are in the gym every day. The people that are professional speakers are on stages as much as they can. The people that are writing books are in front of a computer writing, even if they end up deleting the whole thing. You have to practice because your repetition builds your reputation.
Mhm.
So I chased a bunch of different styles for a long time that were not me. They were not my voice. They were not who I was. And that's the great thing about spending 8 years trying to figure it out is eventually you do.
Yeah.
So it's about getting dialed in. It's about saying in your gut, in your heart, in your being, I have more to offer the world than what I'm currently doing. YouTube is going to be my vehicle to have my message heard and to impact lives. If you want to impact lives with laughter, you can. If you want to impact lives with Bible scriptures, you can. If you want to impact lives with your own experience, that's one of the best ways.
Mhm.
Your life is a story. Your life is interesting. Your life is meant to serve. And you just have to focus on one niche, one avatar, one style of content, and get very, very, very good at it. And the rest will serve you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of
I will end
course.
it up with one last question, and that's
Sure.
it. If that was the last interview you've ever done, what's the message you would want to leave behind you?
If you were the last interview that I ever did, hopefully that doesn't happen, Adam, but I would leave your listeners, your viewers, the people that are hanging out with us today with us. You are not your lowest moment. Your ceiling is not determined by your lowest moment.
Mm,
Where you are now, the scars that you have experienced and healed from are your credentials to do this. There's no perfect situation. Done is better than perfect, but consistent is better than done, and consistent is better than perfect. The only way you're going to find your voice is by exercising your voice because we cannot get good at something that we do not do. We can't get good at golf by watching YouTube videos 8 hours a day on how to get good at golf. We can't get faster at running unless we get out of our chair and get our shoes on and go run. You won't become a great father or a husband or a partner or a leader without doing the thing. So if you doubt yourself, it's because you have a high standard for yourself and you know what you're capable of, but just not confident in doing yet. But the only way you become confident is by doing. So imperfect action is the only path to perfection, and perfection is subjective, but you can feel damn good about what you're doing once you've done it.
Super well said. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thanks, man. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
I appreciate the opportunity. If you're watching this, guys, you're already unfair advantage because most people are too afraid to ask for help, seek guidance or perspective. So just by watching shows like this and having these conversations for you guys are aligned to do great things. And Adam and I both look forward to seeing what you're capable of.
Where people can find you.
I'm at Adam Ivy everywhere on social, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that. My brand new YouTube channel. If you go into the search bar of YouTube, type in Adam Ivy, you'll see a channel called Adam Gets Attention. And then you'll see my main music marketing channel. I no longer post any videos on that. I've kind of turned to a new chapter in my life. I don't know if I might be on there someday, but if you want to find it directly, youtube.com/@ Adam Gets Attention, one word. And I want to build in public with you guys. And wherever I am, the day you discover me is how far ahead of you I am. But I want you to catch up to me and surpass me. So that's my challenge to you. AdamIvy.com is my main website. And yeah, I'm easy to get a hold of. And come say hi if you haven't yet.
Thank you so much. Thank you, man.
Thank
and
you.
for everybody who's listening, if this stirs something in you, don't ignore it. Share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe, leave a comment. And remember, you weren't born to follow the script. You weren't born to be free. Bye, everybody.